The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
Hey everybody, welcome to Canary Cry News Talk. It is July 3rd, 2019, episode 146. Cyborg plants, banker bailout, and student surveillance. My name is Gonz. Basil may never live up to the biblical brain juice of our guest co-host for this episode. Coming to us from the heart of American consumerism in a mall somewhere, Dr. Michael Heiser. Mike, how you doing?
Pretty good. This is my office now. I'm in a mall because my office is packed up, even though I'm not moving for 6 months. But the food's better.
Food's better.
I can say that.
You got a good view of the people?
I have a good view of elderly people talking and walking around. It's exciting.
It's exciting, but this is where we're at now in the world, where you can podcast from a mall food court. We're living in the future.
Right in front of the lingerie store, I might add. So.
Oh gosh.
No, it's Forever 21. It's just their ads that are.
Oh, right. The giant billboards. Yeah, the huge billboards where you walk by and it's very uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay, so this show we don't really talk political stuff too much unless there's a little overlap. But
unless you want to fly into a rage, is that what you're saying?
That's what I was going to say. I've seen you comment quite a bit on some political issues on Twitter. And I love it because we don't hear that side of you too much, so we see the sarcasm and all that. If anyone wants to follow Dr. Heiser.
It's easy when you follow AOC. Yeah. It's like sarcasm a minute,
Yeah, I actually think there's a part of me that thinks that they're doing all that on purpose to make it seem just ridiculous.
Well, that's my angle. No human can be that stupid deliberately. So it's got to be some kind of shtick.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things we talk about on this show quite often at the very beginning, for some reason, and it's something that we've kept going because Basil's love for robot arms. It started with a robot arm named Flippy that was flipping burgers.
Awesome.
So we have a little jingle for it, and we got a little story for you guys.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, so this is BGR.com. Scientists invent a robot that can taste with its fingers. As the relentless march of technology continues unabated, robots have grown more and more complex. They're capable of mimicking humans with increasing accuracy, but there are still a few things that set us apart from our mechanical creations. Sure, robots can touch, see, and hear, but what about taste? A team of researchers from UC Davis is taking care of that as we speak. In a new paper published in Science Robotics, scientists from the university explain how they built a robot that has a rudimentary sense of taste thanks to some helpful and specially engineered bacteria. And, now not only can robots, as long as they apply this technology, not only can these robot arms flip your burgers, but they can taste them to make sure that they're edible. I don't know. What do you think about all this automated robot technology?
Do you have a sound effect for eye roll? Because that's what I'm doing right now.
Nothing that I can really get to.
So in other words, if we all willingly poison ourselves with E. coli, we would be like this robot, and it would be like us.
It's a backwards compatible.
What does E. coli taste like?
I don't know.
What does it taste like? I think the key word in this is rudimentary.
Rudimentary.
Because, it detects chemicals.
Yeah.
Well, okay, the things we taste are made of chemicals. Like everything else. But, when you taste something, your brain processes it in a certain way, and not everybody's brain processes chemicals that their tongue, it comes in contact with in certain ways, because there's the surface of your tongue, that's different.
Yeah.
I mean, this I don't know, this just feels like clickbait, but I guess we ought to take it a little bit seriously, because it's another little baby step in trying to be, create something in our own image. So it reflects It reflects a philosophical bent, a wish, a utopian, wish,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how it could be applied at a very basic level, like just to test, to make sure the food is edible and stuff. But I mean, come on, we've been eating food for...
I'm going to go up to some place in the food court and ask for their E. coli. And I'll show them this article. Right. I just want to know if your E. coli tastes like this E. coli. There's a Chipotle to my left here. I better not do that over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you may not like what you find, but I mean, what if it helps people not eat bad food? But I don't know. It's almost unnecessary. But they're trying to apply these things to as much of this kind of technology as possible. So there's a little flippy update. Not much else to say about that. But I wanted to get into this story because I thought it was pretty interesting.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
That's a real video of someone, by the way, talking about becoming cyborgs on YouTube. Good old YouTube. This is NBC News. And
we know it's reliable.
Yeah, definitely. These cyborg plants can sense motion and move on command. And it says here, house plants can boost moods and help purify the air, but at times they seem more ornament than organism. Now researchers at MIT are trying to change that. They've turned a variety of common plants into bionic flora that can sense motion, propel robotic vehicles, and respond to the click of a mouse. With further development, the researchers say the nascent field of cyborg botany might yield plants that guard our homes, really, connect us to distant friends, and send us gentle push notifications without the sensory overload of computer screens. Ah, thank you guys. So progressive with your robot plants.
Will it protect us from E. coli? That's all I want to know.
They can taste the food for you too, just to make sure. Okay. Quote, plants are like the best electronics that we could have, said team leader Harpreet Sareen, a research affiliate at MIT and a professor of media and interaction design at the Parsons School of Design in New York. Quote, our purpose is to look at nature and converge with it, tap into it, and piggyback on it. Yikes. Serene and his colleagues presented a pair of rudimentary tech-enabled plants at a recent computer conference in Glasgow, Scotland. One was an electrode-studded Venus flytrap that can be controlled from a computer. Click on a specific part of the plant on the app and the corresponding leaf snaps shut. The other was a plant grown with a tiny wire inside, enabling it to function as a sort of motion-detecting antenna. And it goes on here. We'll skip some parts. Then there are, so they have a few different types of cyborg robots here. They have a pair of ferns that helps couples feel connected even when they're separated. When one partner gently pokes her fern, her partner's fern wiggles as if to say hello. Serene calls these soft notifications, alerts that tell us about things happening around us without the intrusive sounds or glaring displays of computers and smartphones. Quote, these are all small things, but these are actually how we do things in nature, he said. We don't have to do things in front of a screen. Katie Siek, a professor of informatics at Indiana University who wasn't involved in the research, agreed, quote, people do not always want a piece of technology visible no matter how sleek it may look, she said in an email, adding that she's seen some people cover devices with blankets to keep them out of view. With interactive plants, she said, quote, sensing and visualization can be provided without the need for technology to be obvious. She said motion sensing plants might even be used to alert caregivers when an older person has fallen and needs assistance. Mike, if we had these cyborg plants in the mall there, they can inform, the ambulance or something if one of the elder gentlemen or women over there fall over.
Right, because people would be too stupid to do that.
People are staring at their phones, we can't be bothered with that stuff.
This strikes me as entirely aesthetic. No, it does, because there isn't a thing that you read in that article that we don't already have. And so the whole point to this is, well, now it'll look this way. It'll,
Right.
it'll be attached to a plant or look like a plant or be part of a plant, because plants are just, let's be honest, they're not as ugly as technology. So I think there's an aesthetic thing. I think there's also an acclimation thing, because people are becoming more sensitive to their dependence
Yeah.
on devices. And so if it doesn't look like a device, people won't think that anymore.
Right.
It's
It's
I think
weird.
it's a desensitizing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's this natural inclination to want to return to nature, but doing it, without, we can't go back to nature just by itself. We gotta keep the enhancements there.
Part of the noble savage, kind of mythology.
Right. Yeah.
That we're getting in touch with nature when we're really not, but we're aesthetically it and it's not, you can't say that we would be tricking our brains, because people would know what these things are. It's
Right.
kind of like animatronics.
Yeah.
When you go
It is
to
animatronics. Where are
Disney or some other place, you know what it is, but it's just desensitizing you to what it is.
Just wanted to jump in here. We had a little bit of a connection issue, so the call drops a couple times, but I did my best here to edit it all back together. Back to the episode here. It says here, Seek also sees a potential downside to such surveillance. Quote, if the plant at work could tell exactly how long you were at your desk, she said, what if someone could hack your shrub to see when you arrive at home? Do we want a future where everything and everyone can be tracked? And
I have a solution.
Yeah.
See, since we already have devices where people can hack those, and now we want to just disguise those devices so that we don't really know they're devices, but they look like plants. Why don't we just get rid of the devices?
Yeah, or you can
because
just
then
put
it doesn't matter what you make them look like, and then worry later. Oh, could someone hack this one too? Here's a suggestion: just get rid of them.
Yeah, this is almost like getting your Alexa or one of those devices and just putting it in, your like a little plant, vase or something in your house. It's really no different, right?
Yeah, put some dirt around it. There you go.
Seek added, did the wind blow the plant, or am I missing a call with the notifications thing? I don't, how would a plant notify you to begin? Is it going to speak to you, or is it going to tap you on the shoulder? What are they planning over here? But yeah, I mean,
every time we see a plant move now, then we're going to be trying to talk to it, or we have to pull out our own device. Again, somebody's tax money or otherwise money that they donated to some institution is going to this sort of nonsense. It's just ridiculous.
Well, this is, I believe they said it was, well, no, this wasn't MIT. Oh, no, it was MIT, researchers at MIT. So yeah, this is,
some
legit.
donor or some tax thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it always goes back to, a phrase we use called predictive programming, basically movies and films that really influence people and how they behave.
How about predictive funding?
Yeah, that's true too.
We have to spend this money or else next year we won't get it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this article, it ends with, appealing to the movie Avatar from 2009, the James Cameron movie.
Which I'm proud to say I have never seen.
Oh, wow. Well, you don't need to see it. I think people have referenced it enough to know what goes on in that film.
I need to know is James Cameron created it, and I don't need to see it. So it's easy. I haven't seen Titanic either.
Oh, wow. You know what? I haven't really sat through beginning to end the movie Titanic either. There were so many people. I was in high school when that thing was very popular. So I had enough fellow classmates and girls around me kind of ranting and raving about it. I didn't need to go see it. But yeah, it's just interesting how movies like Avatar influence a whole generation of people to fund this type of research. Another step in that, direction of probably destroying plants and humans eventually.
Well, Cameron was one of the people behind the Jesus tomb, brouhaha.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I mean,
I remember.
If that tells you anything, that tells you where he's at. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on here, we're going to go to a story about the bankers.
Blockchain.
This is markets.businessinsider.com. Bankers are rushing to take Oxford University's fintech courses before robots take their jobs. So, hey,
Are they plant robots that are going to take their jobs, or these are different robots?
I think these might be.
If they're the plant robots, they'll never know they're taking their jobs.
That's true. Yeah. And if it's, well, I don't know. I don't have anything clever to say from the tasting robots over there. But, we're not going to read through all of this, but just the basic points here. Bankers are rushing to take Oxford University's courses on fintech, blockchain strategy, AI, and other futuristic subjects before robots take their jobs. More than 9,000 people aged 39 on average and predominantly working in financial services have taken, I think it's Said Business School's online open course in less than 2 years. AI is expected to generate $300 billion in cost savings by 2030, partly through the dismissal or reassignment of more than 1.3 million bankers. So, I'm not too mad about bankers scrambling. What about you?
Well, I think this one makes me, I don't, not that I want people to lose their jobs, but
right.
This one makes me laugh a little bit because what are you going to learn if you take this class?
Yeah,
you're going to learn how to walk into your either job review or your pink slip review or some other job, and now I'll be able to describe why you're replacing me more precisely.
Right.
I'll understand why I can't compete with a super chipped machine that's going to be able to do all it needs to do much faster and with more accuracy than I can.
Yeah.
So I could describe for you more effectively why you don't need me.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? Pay us. Here's a great industry. Pay us a few $1,000s for us to teach you why you're going to be replaceable. It's just like, what do they hope to gain?
I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming what they're trying to do is stay ahead of the knowledge curve of the technology. And maybe that way they can stay employed as long as, kind of holding on for dear life.
So they can educate their boss a little bit more rapidly as to why they need to be replaced.
Right. If they can figure out a way to become number two,
right. Wouldn't the strategy be to keep your boss ignorant of what's going on?
Yeah.
So that, he holds on to you a little bit longer?
Sure. Although, when it comes to central banking, maybe the boss already knows what he's planning to do up there, but
I could see if it was maintenance of something,
mm-hmm.
or maybe, strategy, something to do with the, trying to approach the blockchain, issues strategically.
Yeah.
But that's like, go out and find a shaman, in South America somewhere. That's just going to do you just as much good. It's all just like, it's just a guess. Who could possibly predict?
Right.
Because human behavior becomes a factor, in all of this, and that's dictated largely on information, and information is mediated to us by XYZ, outlets, which are being gamed as well. So unless you know how to ungame or regame or game the flow of information so that you can predict human behavior, I don't know what you're going to learn here.
Yeah, well, that's part of the interesting thing about blockchain technology is this idea that it's going to really make a lot of things transparent, a lot of transactions, the input and output of information and data, somewhat transparent, not totally transparent, but enough to be able to hold some kind of public accountability. That's kind of the idea.
Right. But if you're a human and you work for a bank, you can only visually and mentally process a certain number of those transparent transactions.
Right.
You can't do enough aggregate processing to, talk about trends. You have to have a machine, a computer at your disposal, that can give you that aggregate data, and then you can walk into somebody's office and say, look, here are the numbers, here's what it means.
Right.
There's some utility there, but if it comes down to, needing that kind of stuff, in real time, there's no way a human can do that. But you can spin it.
Right.
Maybe if you know enough about it, you can try to assess it in some way.
Yeah.
Well,
I think there'll be a phase, of a period of time where a lot of businesses will start to jump on the bandwagon of some buzzwords like blockchain. They're already starting to do that. And people capitalize on that, people that may have been looking at it for a decade or so. They might be able to consult company, whatever. But it's interesting here. It says the financial sector is experiencing sweeping changes. Algorithmic trading is forecast to grow 11% a year and reach 19 billion by 2024. Financial institutions are pouring about 1.7 billion annually into blockchain. The global digital transactions topped 3.4 trillion in 2018. Apple's upcoming virtual credit card, I didn't know that Apple was doing that, and Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency are two more examples of the shifting tides that bankers need to navigate. And several universities are working to meet the needs of financial professionals. Get Smarter, which partnered with Saeed to create its online open course, has created similar ones, including fintech at Harvard University, AI and blockchain at MIT, and data science, AI and machine learning at University of California, Berkeley. So, the pillars of academia and technology really embracing this type of movement.
I would say they're the pillars of social conditioning.
There you go. Bingo.
They're institutions like this do what they do because they think they're going to be in the driver's seat of the utopia that they believe is being created. In other words, they won't be tread underfoot by it. They'll be in control of it, or at least in they'll have favored status among the people who do control it.
Right.
So this is, again, I hate to be so jaded, but if you're a decision maker at Harvard looking at this, it's hard for me not to think that you're thinking self-preservation.
Right.
In a lot of this stuff, you're not thinking about that this is going to, if you're naive, you are. Maybe if you're AOC, you are. that this is going to make the world a better place. But the reality is the people who really understand it know that it's about positioning themselves for self-preservation and the things they care about and the people they care about, to benefit from, this soft fascist utopia that I believe they do know that they're creating.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to look at, especially the realm of cryptocurrencies, because, a lot of the projects that are out there, some people really push this idea of freedom and sovereignty, and they really go after the notion of, hey, this is going to change the world, not because, we are the controllers of the tech, but the tech itself is going to be the one that's going to manage the trust. And there's actually a term that's used called trustless to indicate how well the technology works for humans in terms of, our ability to trust the ledger and the technology itself, not each other. So, if I want to send you some money through some kind of blockchain, crypto, whatever, I don't have to trust you as long as I trust the network. It's that kind of mentality, which is, it's it's a shift in mindset, but it's totally like you said, a soft kind of technocratic utopian dream that's going to not head to a good place.
The question you always need to ask somebody who's promoting this is, what do you do with dissent and dissenters?
Right.
People who don't want to use this, and you get a limited number of responses. Well, those people are just stupid. They need education. Well, what if you can't successfully educate them, or they just don't believe that they need to do this? They believe there's some other motive to it, and it doesn't matter how much you tell them about it, they're going to be suspicious of it. So what do you do with dissent? What do you do with those people?
Yeah.
And eventually those people just have to be forced or eliminated, or, put them on an island. This is always the question for these utopian fantasies. And that's what they are. They're fantasies. They're human efforts to reverse Babel. That's how I file all of these things.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you on that. I'm actually glad you said that.
What do you do with dissent?
Right.
And the honest answer is, if you really want this thing, this utopian fantasy, to work like you want it to work, dissent must be crushed. That's the honest answer.
Or tamed somehow.
Yeah.
Brought under
Right. If we'll go with, instead of Orwell, we'll go with Huxley and say we anesthetize the dissenting population.
Yeah, I think it's both. Neil Postman had a great quote on that where he kind of goes back and forth about what Orwell had in mind and what Huxley had in mind. And he concludes that Huxley was right. But I think it's a little bit of both. You can make people fall asleep in their sort of thinking and their critical mind, and then a more totalitarian, more forceful type of thing can take place. Because people are so, just sort of, they let their guard down. Oh, we got to trust in the system because they're going to protect us. And, that actually goes right into this final story that we want to do for this part of the episode. And then we'll go into the extended report. This is a New York Times article. It's actually an opinion piece, but there's a bit of news attached to it. So I thought it would be something to...
we want to hear what the New York Times...
Yeah, New York Times,
former
credible
newspaper.
Trusted source.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
Welcome to the K-12 surveillance state. Is tech really the solution to student safety?
See, I want this one if it's my kids.
Right, that's the problem.
Let my wife take a nap. Our kids are grown, so...
Yeah. The homepage for Gaggle, a software program that scans students across digital platforms like emails, computer files, and online assignments, features a staggering, if unprovable statistic. Quote, this past academic year, Gaggle helped districts save 542 students from carrying out an act of suicide, it reads. And actually, they claim that it was actually more that they saved. But that hasn't stopped digital student monitoring systems like Gaggle, which has roughly 5 million users, from growing in popularity. In the wake of mass shootings in Parkland, school districts are facing pressure to find new ways to deter violence, and many of them force administrators to make a choice between student safety and privacy. And that's why a lot of us are suspicious about those school shootings.
Yeah. I'm not in that camp, but to me, the privacy issue is, what do you do with opinion about what to do about the problem? Right. It's like, I think teachers should be armed. I think you should have armed security in schools.
Yeah.
But the power brokers here want to create more gun-free zones, more easy targets.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just get rid of that opinion, or we'll if you're suggesting that as a solution, maybe you'll become the one targeted.
Right.
By Gaggle and others.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because later on here, there's a guy that they quote here, a woman, Monica Bolger, and a senior fellow at the Future of Privacy Forum's Education Privacy Project. And she says school administrators feel they need to provide a solution. The tech seems to provide a quick, easy fix. Schools aren't considering whether it is the best fit. They're choosing the fastest one, which is alarming because, again, who knows who's controlling this data? But also, how does this prevent anything? Like, how does it prevent a school shooting? You know what I mean? Like, if it happens after it happens, hey, maybe we got fantastic footage of everything because we got cameras everywhere. But
and when one starts to go down, how does it stop it?
The robot plants. The plants come alive
okay. That's right. They shoot death rays. Yeah.
Full circle.
Maybe I should like be sitting somewhere else now. There's just plants in there.
You're gonna start looking at every time you walk by a plant in a mall now. You're gonna look at it suspiciously.
I want one that'll heat my tea. But
those practical options will probably be available as time goes on.
Stick a leaf in there and heat that up.
It's not
Don't kill me, just heat my tea.
That is not a bad idea. We're gonna end the regular episode here. We're gonna go into the extended report. Mike's gonna stay with us. What's the place where people can find your work, Mike?
Oh, the homepage is drmsh.com. It's drmsh.com. So that's kind of the nerve center. You can discover Naked Bible podcasts through that, Fringe Pop 321 on YouTube through that. So that's the nerve center.
Excellent. And also, you guys know the one thing to do to spread the message about this show is to rattle their cages.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
All right, there you go. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Until next time, think outside the cage.